Hello, good morning. Today in my presentation, I am gonna be talking about the EV, electrical vehicles adoption in Washington State. And I'm gonna be talking about how people in this state, the state of Washington, has adopted EVs and how the behavior of the adoption has evolved over the years. This is just a picture of an electrical vehicle from Tesla. And okay, so introduction. I gotta first talk about how important it is that the fact that EVs are critical for reducing emissions and advancing sustainable transportation, not only in the state of Washington or in the US, but all around the world. As of 2023, roughly 40 million plug-in electric vehicles were in use globally. And so in this report, I am going to analyze the Washington State's EV population. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about my data set. My data set is the electrical vehicle population data from the Washington State data of licensing. And so they hold all of the records of the licenses that have been issued specifically towards EVs. Um, of course, this data set, I got it from one of the suggestions that we had on eLearn, where we were offered different options to access different data sets. So I got this one. Also, the file, which is a CSV file, showcases the county level monthly registrations of BEVs and PHEVs. BEVs stands for battery electrical vehicles, and PHEV stands for plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. And so this data set spans around 14,400 records through from January 2012 through March 2025. And mainly this is going to show the number of vehicles that were registered by the Washington State Department of Licensing, DOL, each month. So the two research questions that I want to focus on for this presentation is, number one, how have EV registrations evolved over time? Battery electric vehicles versus plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. So the PHEV, the plug-in hybrid electric vehicles, are those that you can use them on. They work on an electrical battery, but they also ran on gas. So once you ran off your battery, that's when gas kicks in and takes over the car until you recharge your battery so that you can again run 100% on the battery and so on. So that's for the PHEV, the BEV is 100% electrical, no gas at all. Okay, that's the first question. How have EV registrations evolved over time? And my second question is, what county level factors correlate with higher per capita adoption? Okay, my methodology. Okay, the first. Okay, I shouldn't have done that. Let me go back. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, so the slide that I just keep and I can go back to was my methodology. So first I uploaded the CSV file, the dataset, to my Python code, and then of course I parse it, and I started analyzing the info, and I plotted some bars to showcase um, uh, the analysis and to have a visual perspective of the information, which I'm going to show you next. So this is just some of the code. Here you see my libraries that I imported, and then you see here that I use pandas and matplotlib and matplotlib. And so here you see when I am loading the dataset, the electric vehicle population data, CSV. And down below you see my first plot where I am comparing the number of BEVs versus the PHEVs. And something that I want to show you next is a couple of graphs. So, what are some observations that I found that I saw? Number one, I saw that there is around 30% growth from January 2012 and March 2025. There is around 30% growth in the registration of EVAs with the Washington State Department of Licensing. So in January 2012, there were around 5,000 EVs, not a lot. But in 2025, there were around 250,000 registrations. Something that I also saw is that BEVs are basically taking over the EV industry for the most part, and now around 60% of new registrations are BEVs. So that means that only 35% of new registrations are PHEVs. And something that I saw is that breaking down the info into counties, King County and Pierce County are the two counties that have the most EV cars registration with the DOL. So here are some of the plots. This one right here, the first one on the left, EV County by model year. So this is what I was talking about. You can see here on the YX, this is displaying the number of EVs. And on the X um, on the X axis, you see that in 2012 there were around 5,000 EVs. Then there was a spark mainly in 2023 and 2024 where there were around 600,000 EVs. But suddenly there was a drop, a drastic drop, and in 2025 there are around 250,000 EVs. So that's the growth that I was talking about. Uh, the the growth the numbers from 2023 and 2024, as I said, drastically dropped. That's why we see there is only a 30% growth. But if in 2025, I guess that's because we are just going through the year, the first quarter. We haven't seen all of the registrations that we saw in the other years. But obviously, as we go on through the year, this number is gonna go up. But remember that this is information up until March 2025. So the other plot here on the right, it is showing the counties. It is a breakdown by counties, and we see here that King County is the one that has the most registrations with around 120,000. And then we have Snohomish with around 3,000, and then Pierce with around 20,000. So based on the analysis, some of the recommendations that I have, um, it is to issue incentives to underserved rural counties. As we saw, King County and Pierce County are the ones that have the most EVs, but the rest of the counties, we barely see a small amount of EVs. So one of the recommendations to offset this big difference, is to give incentives to these isolated counties. Let's put it that way. These isolated counties, so that we can see a balance, or at least we can close the bridge between King County, Pierce County, and the rest of the counties. So my second recommendation is to expand public charging infrastructure in low penetration areas. So of course, if you are going to have an EV vehicle, uh, you are running on electricity. You are running on a battery, like just like your phone, just like your laptop, and you need to recharge. So you need to expand this charging infrastructure, not only in the most urbanized areas, which is uh, the first target for car companies to set up charging stations, but they also need to uh, get into the low penetration areas. Those counties that you are going to target, that you are going to give incentives, you also need to give them charging stations. If you don't, there is no way they are going to have an EV car. Perhaps that's the reason why their numbers are so low. And another recommendation is community outreach on cost savings and environmental benefits. So, of course, with your EV car, you are emitting less gases. You are contributing to the to the proper care of the environment, and of course you are saving money because you are not buying gas at the pump. So, in conclusion, data-driven insights can guide policy to accelerate EV adoption. So all of this information can give us a broader perspective of, of what policymakers can do to accelerate EV adoption in the Washington state, in all of their counties, and not only to promote the EV adoption, but what else do you need to give the community so that they feel prompt to get an EV car, like charging stations, like incentives, etc. So all of this information um, that is generated by facts, by real data, it's what can be used to base off all of the decisions in the EV adoption process. And I have the whole analysis with all of the plots and charts on my Jupyter notebook, which I uploaded to eLearn with all of the rest of the analysis, comparing and viewing uh, all of the information from the dataset. These are my sources, mainly the dataset that I downloaded from the Washington State Department of Licensing, and an article that I read, Electric Car Use by County, in the Washington State. Thank you so much.